All right, so today we're diving into the metaverse once again. One of the big things that we do here on the show from time to time is an AMA, and we usually do it with a CEO or a dev lead from one of the major metaverse or gaming projects. And today is no different. We're going to talk to the CEO over at Sidus Heroes. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back to TechPath. Let's dive in and look and understand about what Sidus Heroes is all about. We thought, let's reach out to them. Let's learn a little bit more about the team, also about what the project looks like overall. So I want to welcome Dan to the show. Great to have you, Dan.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks for having me today. It's a privilege to participate in this AMA show, and it's great to have people like you, very dedicated people who are, streaming and sharing a lot of useful information to a massive audience in the crypto industry. So, thank
I
you
think
once again.
the key here is education. I think with people as they look into blockchain gaming in general is really a lot of people trying to understand it, one from an investment side, but also from a gameplay side. Can you talk to us about what Sidus Heroes is designed to do overall, and then maybe talk a little about where you guys are in your roadmap?
Yeah, sure, no worries. Well, Sidus is a very it's a massive metaverse and an ecosystem full of different features and some extraordinary innovations that we're trying to bring into the play-to-earn industry. We've been designing a gaming engine in the last 4 years that makes us quite different from other games out there because many of them are currently using Unreal, whereas we are trying to create a game that will be accessible to billions of people in those unstable regions or third world countries, as we say. In Africa, in the Asia Pacific region, those people who are not able to afford to go and buy some PS5 devices or some expensive devices, really like latest iPhones, Xboxes, etc. So they don't really have that access or privilege to play some latest games that we Westerners play in Australia, in the United States, in Europe, etc. Right. So our job and our objective is to make gaming experience from the play to earn element as accessible as possible. That would allow people to change their lifestyle, to feed their families by playing the game and learning a lot about how to play the game, not just from the point of game aspect, but also from the point of interacting and engaging with other people around the world, learning English, learning some other languages, partnering up and teaming up with some people from all over the world. Try to play logically and intelligently. We are making a game that is not just about fun, it's also about intelligence, right? And we try to make people think about how to strategize certain things, how to be a smart player that is having an efficient strategy in place and has some at least understanding as to what's happening around him. We're building the metaverse that is virtually reality compatible from the browser experience. What it means is that the gaming engine we've built, it is a browser experience, right? So it's not like you don't really need to download anything. You don't need to download gigs of data. You don't need to have some expensive devices. All you need is just go to your cell phone, tablet, computer, type in play.sidusheroes.com, and you get access to the game, right? Obviously, graphics will heavily depend on your device's capabilities. However, we're trying, as I said, to make it as accessible as possible. That means you still be able to play the game even if you have an average device. And speaking, for example, of Africa, they have the average speed of the internet is around 200 kb per second. They have 2 gigs of RAM on average, and their devices are Androids, right? So these people clearly would not be able to play Horizon, for example, on the PS5 because they don't have access to it. However, they will be able to play Sidus even on their devices with these particular technical characteristics. So, and that means these people will be able to change their lifestyle. These people will be able to learn what play-to-earn industry is. These people would be able to make friends, and these people would be able to interact with the massive metaverse called Sidus. And Sidus is definitely an extraordinary place to be, full of opportunities for anyone who wants to enjoy the real virtual reality gaming experience, for sure.
Yeah, and I think the key here is mobile adaptation, where a lot of blockchain games which are looking at trying to go the route of mobile immersion, because I think those are the key elements, especially in pickup adoption
Mm.
around the world, especially like you're talking about in some of the emerging countries, but even more so, even in the Western countries. I think sometimes mobile gaming is underlooked, and a lot of analysts have already kind of pointed at mobile gaming being one of the big breakouts for the future of growth. Where are you guys currently in the state of the project? At what point in the roadmap?
So in the last 4 years, we've been developing, as I did mention before, a gaming engine or a layer two to the WebGL HTML5 technology using some different stacks like Babylon, etc., Canvas.
Mhm.
So we've been working hard to optimize this engine as much as possible before we roll out the Sidus as the game itself. So that's what we've been doing in the last 4 years, doing a lot of different optimization adjustments and different things that are capable for us to increase the efficiency of Sidus as a game and the graphic optimization. Now, once we were confident with the engine itself, that was the stage when we decided to get into the gaming space and start developing Sidus, right? So that happened almost 1.5 years ago when our game producer, along with all of our analysts, internally started to develop the in-game economics. And if you look at our website, sidusheroes.com, we have a very comprehensive in-game economics and we call it in-game economy file that clearly defines how the whole sort of economics will work inside of our game, what are the interconnections between certain elements and the layers inside of our game. For example, we have some very interesting approach towards the political system inside of our game, because we thought instead of just making a game where you go to the dungeons, play up with your mates and run around and kill as many creatures as possible to try to loot as much stuff as possible, we tried to create the political scheme where adults can play as well, right? And adults means they need and they ask for a little bit more than just the fun slash fighting slash PvP slash space battles. They want to have some sense of complications. Then they want to have some clashes of interest between oppositions, between Republicans and Democrats, etc., etc. In a sense, and we've done the political system that would allow people to do that, so they can set up their political fraction, they can participate in the elections every month for 48 hours. Once a month there will be election happening where people would be able to use their governance token to vote for their favorite political fraction, and then once the decision is made by the nation, the leader of that political fraction will become the president, who will rule the Sidus station or Sidus station for 30 days, and the political fraction will get their parliament seats, which will be made of 28 seats, and they can place some veto on the decisions of the president if he doesn't or she doesn't do the right job. So we do a lot of
Interesting.
interesting things like this,
Yeah.
which definitely will make it a little bit more interactive and as closer to the reality as possible. Yeah. So
So
you can be
there's a
someone who you can't really be in the real life in a way.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. A lot happening in the game, and I think they're rolled up to being able to release this project. What is the release frame in terms of time frame for the project?
Yeah, so I do apologize. I've skipped that part. We have 4.5 years of a development plan, so we have a very comprehensive roadmap. Currently, we're at the stage one, which has a very primitive in-game play. That means that we've only released less than 1% of the game really, and there are a lot more coming in the next few months. Some substantial improvements actually in the next coming in the next few months. We're going to release the open world where you would be able to run around with your friends. We'll release the ability for you to travel on the spaceships. We'll release quite a few other innovative points, such as we will share an ability with the community to become co-owners of certain infrastructural products inside of our game. And what I mean by the infrastructural products, I mean marketplace, I mean shop, I mean the spaceship yard where the spaceships will be built. And we want to get away from that centralized control of the game when developers and devs, or like devs, they control the entire process. So they sell whatever they want, they make money out of all transactions, etc. We want to get away from this particular approach, and we want to basically make a game where there is a community-owned, community ownership, where people own a certain share of a marketplace, where people own the process of selling and buying anything in the shop. And now all of those transaction fees, or we call them GSTs or taxes,
Right.
they will be redistributed into two different pools. One pool will be the burning pool, where the treasury will be start to collecting coins and then burning them to create a deflationary model to reduce the emission. And the second pool will be the rewards pool. The rewards pool means if you participated in building this particular infrastructural product and you participated in building, for example, a marketplace, and you contributed your resources, you contributed your tokens, that means you will have a percentage of royalty from this reward pool redistributed to your wallet every single transaction while someone is using this particular product lifetime. So without any effort, you would be able to earn some substantial amounts of tokens just going straight into your wallet, just because you participated from the beginning and you helped us with the development of the game.
So I think, yeah, that's so good economy structure, which is a big part of a lot of blockchain and play to earn games, so that we've continued to see some games struggle, some games do really well because their economic infrastructure is really sound. And I think it sounds like you guys have really put a lot of thought into that side of it. So I think that's going to be a key play for Sidus in going forward. Talk to me about the difference between the dual token system on Senate and also Sidus or Sidus.
Sure. The problem is these days with the dual token systems is that one token is always taking over the other. Means the governance token is always going up in price because it has
Right.
a fixed amount of tokens, and the other token, which is an in-game currency, it's usually inflationary. It increases the emission based on the activity inside of the game, and it usually gets dumped by the users because users are getting it as a reward, and all they do is they go and sell it. And we've seen it quite a few times in the industry, including X Infinity, unfortunately, when SLP got smashed by the users. So our dual token system is designed in a way of preserving as much value as possible for both of these tokens, at the same time trying to make these tokens to work with each other. So our first currency, which is a Sidus in-game currency, it's a deflationary currency. It means every activity that happens inside of the game will be collecting coins from the users for a particular transaction or a particular action. If you want to upgrade your armor, if you want to build a spaceship, if you want to set up your political fraction, all of these little taxes and GSTs will be collected and eventually will get burned, which means it reduces the emission, means it's trying to preserve the value of the coin, and it does not oversupply the market with these particular coins. The coin itself will be let's think about it as a US dollar in the United States, for example, right? You use it for literally everything. Sidus is an in-game currency that you're going to use for all of your actions inside of the game, except certain things like political fraction elections, spaceship building process, land plots. For these particular activities, you're going to use CNET, and the CNET is the governance token. It has a lot of different functions that first of all, controlling the certain in-game mechanic of building the spaceships, buying and purchasing land plots, and possessing some land licenses for you to control your land. Also participate in the political elections, where you can use your CNET tokens to choose the leader or a political fraction that will represent your political objectives. And CNET will also be used to control the emission of Sidus. So they will be working together as much as possible. And it's all designed in the in-game economy file. Once again, the website has a very clear structure as to how we've designed this dual token economy. However, it is a very useful and efficient way to create a metaverse, because two tokens would allow you to create a lot more flexibility for users to be to enjoy the gameplay and have efficiency in place without really being scared that one of the tokens will get affected substantially. So
Right.
we've learned the lessons from others, and we try to get away from these mistakes. We try to basically make both tokens as valuable as possible.
Yeah, I want to talk quickly because I have a lot of questions here in regards to onboarding and all those kind of things that eventually we'll see in blockchain really kind of ramping up to next level, play to earn adoption. But around gameplay itself, you guys have several modes of gameplay. Talk to me about kind of the structure in which the game itself is set up.
Yeah, sure. So we've designed the game to be MMORPG, right? So it is a game where, it's not just a game. It's a fancy term called Metaverse because it is a metaverse, right? It's going to have virtual offices inside. It's going to have concert halls where we're going to invite celebrities to sing, to do some educational sessions and talk to the audience in a very high quality manner. So it's not a pixels metaverse. It's a high quality metaverse. We're
Right.
talking about some proper stuff, right? Also, these games will provide some tools for game developers to create their own games inside of our game. So if you want to have, for example, if you pass the moderation, you can create your own planet with your own landscape and do many, many different things as well. That will also be provided the same as in Sandbox when they provide a certain set of tool and you can do anything you want. The game itself, as I said, is an MMORPG, which means that you start your journey as the adventurer. You start your journey from the Sidus station. That's the central point of the universe in our game, and you basically start to explore. The exploration process is massive. It's just literally limitless. You can do anything you want. You can become an adventurer. You can become a specialist. You can become a biologist or a gem cutter. You can run your own business. You can open the jewelry workshop and do some processing for certain materials. You can, for example, get some resources from players, and you can process these stones, for example, raw stones or raw precious stones, into the faceted stones. And if you're a good gem cutter, if you're a good jewelry specialist, you can process these stones into high quality faceted stones, which can be used to improve gear, can be used to improve navigation systems inside of the spaceships, and many other things as well. So you can literally stay in the city station, do nothing, and just process raw materials for players and get money for it, right? You can also team up with your mates, go and buy the spaceship and travel in the universe of Sidus, go to the different planets. Every planet will have a very unique landscape. Some planets will be made of fire, some planets will be bushes with some local creatures and inhabitants. There will be some local markets where you can exchange some items. You can run around, find some creatures that you like, and maybe you want to catch them, like in a Pokemon Go catch them all style. And if you catch the creature, you can incubate it for a couple of weeks in a Tamagotchi style, feed it for a week or two, and if this creature likes you, it will become your companion, and then you can sell it as an NFT, or you can use it in your battle arena. You can become a gladiator. You can become a political minister, like a political person, right, who participates in the life of Sidus and starts to build things for the nation. It's just literally limitless number of things you can do in our game. We're trying to basically make game futuristic, but at the same time, when it comes to this decisions of the player to be someone they want to be, it's literally limitless. And
Yeah.
speaking of the gameplay as well, the game is designed to be sustainable, which means it's not just you being someone, but it's also teaching you some useful skills. It will take you through certain things. It will send you to a place, for example, in the virtual reality office, where you will go to a certain company and you will learn something new from these people in order for you to become a particular specialist. So if you want to be a space explorer, we're going to have some space companies opening the virtual offices inside of our metaverse, where I would not disclose some names, but we are planning to business partner with certain space companies out there that are sending satellites and some space objects, and they would love to open something that will represent these companies inside of our metaverse, where people can just come and learn from them from the real people in the virtual reality space as to what is it like to be in this space. And so we'll try to make it as educational as possible. So it's actually becoming not just a game, but also a bit of an education for people. As you said, it's really important.
Yeah, I think that's going to be
Yeah.
kind of that next leverage that really sets apart some projects from others. Do you think this game, though, I mean, based on what you're telling me, it feels like it's so encompassing, it's either going to be super addictive or it's going to be a little bit complicated. With this being a mobile, feeling like browser-based and or mobile-first potential here, do you feel like the game is going to see quick adoption based on its complexity? What are some of the things you guys are preparing for onboarding, all that good stuff?
Yeah. So we have released the wiki, the gaming guide, the gaming guide that explains how the actual game works. We call it Gaming Wikipedia.
Sure.
That defines really what needs to be done to get started. Yes, it can sound a little bit complicated in the beginning. However, when you start playing, everything becomes to you naturally.
I see.
You
Okay.
understand the whole concept. It's very smooth, and because as I said, it's a mobile friendly. Well, it's a browser friendly. That's the
Right.
main point. We don't really need to depend on the software providers like Steam or App Store or Android. It doesn't really matter who. We don't really need to depend on anyone because it's a browser game. All you
Yeah.
do, you just type in play.sidusheroes.com and you get into it. And then there'll be a lot of instructions as to how to get started. So
hmm
very, very simple. Nothing too special, to be honest with you.
Now, I was looking at some of the
Yeah.
details on it. Anti-whale policy preventing one player from holding more than one plot of land, station, or a spaceship.
Mm,
With that kind of scenario, do
that's
you
right.
see like gaming guilds? How would gaming guilds try to really start to work within the ecosystem or within the metaverse of Sidus?
So we have already a lot of guilds that are waiting for the scholarship system to be launched so they can get
hmm
started and participate within our game. However, the game is not ready as yet. As I said, it's less than 1%. So once we release at least 5%, that will be a little bit more playable and enjoyable for
Okay.
guilds to play. For guilds, we'll have a lot of different tools and instruments internally inside of the game so they can actually have freedom of choices. They can have some land plots, the corporate accounts for the land plots, but we still want to avoid these, automation systems or bots when they buy
Right.
stuff just purely for the speculative purposes, because this game is not about speculation. This game is all about enjoyment. So we want to make it fair, as much as fair as possible. That's why we have some techniques that we are executing inside of this game to make sure it's all fair. We also listen to the community's voice all the time. We are very transparent, and that's one of the reasons why we've actually launched this game in a very, very raw beta, is because we want to show the whole magic happening from a small project to something big being built right in the front of their eyes. And that's all about transparency, because if we do that, that will build the confidence of the community. They will see the project from a very early stage when it was full of mistakes and errors, and we know there are a lot of problems there. It's not a surprise for us. We're fixing it, we're updating it, etc. However, down the track, like in 2 or 3 months, once people see what happened during the last 4 months, how much difference we've made inside of this game, they will definitely be reassured that this team is working really hard and they are being super transparent. And these days, many games, they're not really sharing anything to do
Right.
with the gameplay. What they say is that we're going to launch the game down the track in 2 or 3 years, wait for it. We have sufficient funds to do it. However, I mean, you as a participant, you as a believer or a hodler of this particular project, you want to see at least a bit of a transparency happening. You want to see something that is happening behind the scenes, not just some pretty pictures on Twitter, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. And that's something that I think is going to continue to set certain projects apart from others. We talk about it here on the show all the time is, getting projects released out to the public, at least into the format of understanding how far the project roadmap is actually developing. When it comes to social, because that feels like such a big component of a lot of the blockchain games that we've looked at, is some social interactivity, whether it's in game or uh, game and or external. Any plans for social integration within the project?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We'll have a lot of different instruments for people to engage with each other There will be some social networks inside. There will be some chats for people to talk to each other. There will be a marketplace internally where you're going to set up your profile, and you'll basically share some insights from your game experience. You'll have some good connections which you can borrow from an external world, from Instagram, Facebook, etc. We want to basically interact with as many artists as possible, so artists will get into this game not just for a gaming experience, but they can also participate in some derivatives contest as well. So we want people to spend some time and think about how they can actually improve the game, what can be improved, what can be done to make it a little bit more interactive, etc. Definitely, that's something will do. That's one of our plans. However, we have to get there with the technical development itself, because if we make a bad impression, no one is going to play this game, right? So it will take some time. Yeah.
I was looking at a couple of tweets that you guys had made. One of them here with your launch and talking about concert halls, celebrities, et cetera. So a lot of projects out there, especially in play to earn or play and earn, in your case, really moving strategically around the right kind of partnerships. I guess my question is, when you have a roadmap that might be 2, 3, or further years down the line, because there's going to be a lot changing, obviously, within the metaverse, within play to earn, a lot of partnerships, whether it's brand partnerships, celebrities. We're seeing Snoop Dogg and his kind of mission of what's happening with Sandbox, a lot of activity. Do you feel like that would slow you down any, or do you think there's enough there now within Sidus Heroes to draw in these kinds of celebrities and key partnerships so that you can keep them on the line as you roll out phases of the game?
Yes, correct. It's a good question, though. Well, down the track in 2 years, it will be a completely different story, right? So it's like when you talk about a Horizon. I'm not really sure if you're a big gamer, but it's being released today, and it's a big game, right? There is a massive audience that is playing this game on the PS5, Xbox, etc. People love it, right? This particular game itself is already a brand, a well-known brand. Known enough to attract
Right.
some big celebrities to
Yeah.
be associated with that. So by the time when we will launch the game and we'll have a massive audience of people playing it, etc., I can't see any reasons as to why some celebrities or business partners are not going to work with us, or it's going to distract us somehow, because we already work with these people from not obviously Snoop Dogg, but we will work with some celebrities via the other service we've launched a year ago called NFT Stars, and that's an Australian NFT marketplace that was designed to help artists and celebrities to get as much exposure as possible in the NFT industry. And this business is running really successfully, I believe. We have all auctions being filled 100%, and we have a lot of different celebrities are being a part of this marketplace. So we do have experience how to deal in how to communicate to these sort of business partners, and I'm sure they would be interested to be involved within the gaming space as well, because that's going to be massive. As I said, the audience around the world, especially young generation, these people are waiting for something that is accessible to start playing and earning funds, because for many of them it's a game-changing technology. Like if you look at the Axie actually made so much difference that even the government in the Philippines couldn't do, right? So they've made a lot of money for people to survive and feed their families and pay off for the school fees, and it's a social impact, right? So we want to do the same. We want to make sure that this game is having as much social impact as possible, and it helps as many people as possible to change their lifestyle, to get to improve it, and have sufficient funds to live enjoyably.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
that's
Lots
the
happening.
objective.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
a couple of things, advertising potentials, there's potentials with brand partnerships, as you kind of indicated there, the celebrity side of things. I was looking at your tweet here that kind of talks about your own, team inside of Metaverse, which is over on Blocktopia. So do you see a lot of that cross Metaverse exchanges starting to occur within Sidus Heroes, other metaverses out there, kind of creating that cross functionality between just not only branding but maybe use cases? What are your thoughts there?
Absolutely, Paul. Well, I believe that mutual cooperation is the key, right? So I presume there are a lot of projects happening right now. Everyone is doing their IDO and It's great. However, the partnership and cooperation, it's something that makes a big difference and makes this particular metaverse space a better place to be, because we are exchanging knowledge. We share as much knowledge and expertise as possible with each other to learn from each other, to learn from each other's mistakes. Nothing wrong with that. Everyone's mistakes can be actually really useful to the other projects who are following the same pathway, developing their game on the Unreal Engine, and they don't want to repeat the same mistakes. So it's great to have some business partnerships and work together with the other metaverses, even if these metaverses will clash with the interest of your game. Doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, we'll have a lot of people joining in this space in the next few years, and we can see it's happening already every single day. And some governments, even like in countries like Korea is planning to become number 5 in the world of being one of the biggest employees of jobs in the metaverse space, in the virtual reality. They're planning to have like 1.5 million jobs by 2025 or something like that. So that's clearly defining the fact that there will be plenty of space for everyone. And it's great to have business partnerships like Blocktopia. We work with Sin City. We work with a whole bunch of other projects out there. And we're very proud of it because we help each other as much as possible. And these guys are great. They make a big difference as well.
Yeah, I was looking at your key investors and partners, and I was taken back by the lineup here. I mean, you've got Animoca Brands in here, Master Ventures. There's AU21 Capital. I'm trying to pick out the ones I know, and Frontier, LVT. I mean, this is a pretty stellar lineup of not only teams but also the ability to kind of scale projects at a global level, especially when you look at both venture. Media partnerships and influencer partnerships, all those kind of things that really can kind of really get to that next level. Not many games, and especially not many play-to-earn games, have really kind of made that leap. What is it, do you feel, that's drawing these people in for you?
Well, I believe, Paul, it's not a problem to really get some investors on board if you have a good project. The problem is to have to be selective, and to be selective, it's a little bit of a complex process, because you have to talk to all of these people in the industry and you have to ask a very simple question: how much value can you bring besides the funds? Because funds are great because it's covering the cost of the development, but in the end of the day, it's not just about funding, it's all about the mutual cooperation with each other. So that's where the tricky part is. So we spoke to thousands of different business partners and VCs in the industry, and we've only selected like around 150 business partners that really made a difference in terms of the conversation, and they've made an impression that they can definitely help us. So those projects that you see, or the names that you see on the website, they're the ones that are helping us a lot to scale up the project. And once we are ready, we will scale it up together with them. So like, for example, Animoca, very helpful to us when it comes to certain connections and the scalability in the future. They are also willing to learn from us about this browser game experience, because not many gaming studios were brave enough to develop anything in the browser. Everyone is just, as I said, following the same pathway as Unreal/Unity stuff. But we've decided to make it a bit of a revolution, and that's why Animoca came to us and said, "Well, that's awesome. We want to learn from you guys, and if it's successful, then we want to scale it up to the other projects as well." So we are working together. They don't just share their knowledge; we are also sharing our knowledge with them as well. And the same applies to all of our business partners, is that they are learning from us and we are learning from them. It's the constant cooperation. And I think the success of any project would be to have a great incentive for these people to work with you. It means that you have to be a little bit pushy sometimes, without sounding too offensive. You have to be pushy because these people are very busy. They have hundreds of different projects to invest into. They have to monitor and incubate everyone, and it's a very time-consuming process. From my perspective as a project, I have to be a little bit pushy to get their attention. And I have to basically contact them every week, asking them to help me as much as possible, etc. And that brings a result. They're not taking it offensively. They understand that they're busy, but at the same time, they really appreciate the fact that we are being very transparent and a little bit pushy as well. Last week, for example, we've done the investors call when we've invited all of our business partners and investors, and we've shared the latest updates with them for like 2 hours, sharing some insights, etc. And they all really appreciate it, because that's the transparency. That's what people need to see, even if the market is not the best right now. They still want to see that transparency happening, and at least some respect of their contribution to this project.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a good attribution to what you guys are trying to do is, for the vision of what Sidus is, especially, on the aspect of true browser-based gaming, because I think that will be one of the key sectors that becomes one of the leaders, I think, in blockchain gaming. For sure, we continue to watch it deeply on our show. We cover Metaverse blockchain gaming and really dive into these CEO interviews like this all the time. So Dan, it's been great having you on the show. I can't wait to learn more as you start to phase through the project and get more and more stuff released. So it's going to be fun to watch Sidus really grow from here.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Excellent.
I really appreciate it.
Thanks for stopping in. We appreciate it. All right, you guys are tuned in over on the podcast right now. Listen, this is the place to catch all your metaverse gaming, blockchain evolution that's happening, and it's literally being created right in front of us. And you do that by just joining us over here on YouTube. It's where you're going to get all the gameplay footage, a lot of our analysis, some of our TA, really our sentiment analysis on a lot of these projects. All you got to do is search Paul Barron Network. You'll find us there. If you want to hit me up, it's out on Twitter. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.